It would be strange if the Earth was flat like most video games. You'd either walk off the edge or hit an invisible barrier. You couldn't fly around the planet and forget about blasting off into space on a journey to Let's Blending! Okay, right here, I have a text box showing text. 3 lines, in fact, which is awesome. In fact, each one's 40 characters long. That's 40 characters. That's as many as 4 tens, and that's awesome. Okay, that one was bad. But basically from BG, import logic. And we parse the text, and we send it a big old block of text. Word list equals text.split, which splits it into a list based on the spacebar. If you don't put anything in here, then it's the spacebar. You can, however, do that if you want to parse by periods. Or put in that space if you want to parse by space. But if you leave it blank, it'll parse by the space. Our lines equals an empty list, and a line equals an empty string, because we're going to take each word, figure out if our line plus the current word plus 1 is greater than our length of 40. If not, we're going to add a space and the word to line. Let's get started. For in word list, that's just getting the entire list of words from our original text. If len line, or the length of the line, plus plus the length of the word we're getting from the word list plus 1 is less than or equal to 40. Then we'll create a variable called addIt with a space plus the word. And then we'll add it to the line. This probably gives you a space at the very start of each line, or at least the first line, but that should be okay. You could also say if the length of line is equal to 0 or is greater than 0, then do all this stuff. But we're just doing it this way because it's a minor error and it'll be overlooked by most people. Remember, it's the things that aren't there that people don't know about, but things that are there, people will notice. Okay. We keep adding this to this line, and once it's greater than or equal to 40, that's the else, we take our list of lines and we add our string line to it. And then we say line equals I because that's been left out. If you don't do that line equals I, then you're gonna have problems. It's probably just gonna wind up, actually it will wind up just giving you one single line and running through everything else. Like text diarrhea. Never mind. Now at the very end of this this for loop here, you want to add line to your list of lines. Otherwise, it'll wind up cutting off the end, which is slightly annoying. And then you return the lines. Yay, we've parsed our block of text into a list of easily digestible lines, which we can now add to these 3 text lines. Isn't that awesome? Took a long time. Now this def show text controller, we're passing it to the controller, and we're showing the text. We're getting the owner, we're getting the owner's parent. For a specific reason, the parent has a variable. So do the children, its children, the owners. The owners we're getting are actually the text lines, which are these three things that conveniently say text. They all have their text game property and a property called add, whereas this has a property called num. Yes, they're integers. Okay. If we have text in global dictionary.keys, making sure that we have text in our global dictionary that we're getting the text from. Then the text list equals logic.global-dictionary text. We're just shortening this to this because it's a lot easier to deal with. If the parent's number plus our text number's additive is less than the length of our text list, this is to make sure that we don't have an index out of range. Then our text object's text variable equals our text list parent number plus owner addition. This basically points to the index of the text list that we want. Else, the owner text equals nothing. This is to blank it out so that when you go through, you don't wind up with lines everywhere. Else, our own text equals nothing. So if we don't have any text in our global dictionary, then the text will be nothing. That way you don't have anything in your text box. It'd be weird if you went walking around in a game and there was just text in a text box. And we're generating the text list. And we're basically just saying logic.global-dictionary text equals parsed text variable, and that variable is this variable equals this entire intro. One thing to remember, annoyingly enough, it all has to be on one line. You can use word wrap, but you can't go here and hit enter because then you'll have some end of line error. Now with lists you can do that. Lists are fun. And I think you can do that with dictionaries. Yay, dictionaries! Oh boy, our text went away. There we go. And this, basically, when your mouse has... Okay, always once generate the text list. We see our parsed.gen text list in the module. But we have mouse over and left button and add to this number a 1. Because these all add from this. So you have something nice and uniform, and you can click on it and scroll through your text. And then later on you can say, okay, if this one's text variable equals nothing, or if this one's add integer plus this one's number integer is greater than or equal to our list of strings, the length of the list of strings, then you can just hide this make it disappear, do all kinds of things. One thing to note, made the background invisible, but that does not make the text invisible. Personally, I'd take it, I'd put it on the same scene with my inventory like I did with my heads-up display, and I'd give it a nice animation, and then I'd give a variable and say, okay, if this variable is true, then this appears, otherwise it disappears. But that's pretty much it for text parsing and displaying text. Now, here's a few things you might not know about Blender. This button right here is proportional editing object mode. The shortcut is the O key. But it's not okay. With proportional editing, if you've got two objects that share the same location, when you move one, it'll move the other. So if you notice this on, either click on it or hit O to disable it. Some more things to know. You can actually create a sphere the size of Earth that's 83,000 miles in diameter. It should have over 24,000 miles surface area. If your world is getting too big, you can use the outliner to easily access everything. You can actually make a camera's endpoint as big as you want. But if you have over 1,000 miles for the end clipping, then the mouse over any sensor may mess up. I've probably explained this before, but if not, let's see. Where the heck is it? In the user preference, under System, turn bitmaps off and on. This just makes your textures more pixely. Bitmaps, when they're on, smooth things out. If you change a material's texture within the game, it'll turn bitmaps on even if they're turned off. As long as you're not using color ramps, nodes, or extra textures, or if you don't even know what they are, under GLSL you can usually turn these three off without affecting a single thing. If you turn shaders off, that affects the material shaders. That's these things, like Fresnel, MiniArt, Toon, Oren, Nyar, and Lambert. More like Lamborghini. And for the specular, it's Wardizo, Toon, Bling, Fong, and Cooktor. Yay, Captain Cooktor. Never mind. Turning off color management will make things darker. Turning off lights will make things darker still. Or lighter. I can't remember which. In here you can change your input. And even emulate a numpad. That means that the numbers at the top of your keyboard will do the different perspectives. Otherwise, you'd have to have the numbers in that phone pad looking number pad. This is great if you don't have a desktop. I've gotten so used to it that I just keep it on, because with the other setting, it basically swaps between the different layers. Hitting the tilde key turns on all the layers. Yay, turn on all the layers. Object animation, or the animation of a specific object, not considering bones or shape keys, I believe used to be called IPOs. Now I believe they're F-curves. Another thing to notice, and I'll be working on this later, is that shape keys are not shared between copies of different objects, which means you can have several hundred copies of bamboo at several different animational growth levels, which is great. I'm going to use the heck out of shape keys, and that's pretty much it for not only this episode of Let's Blending, but also a few things you might not know about Blender.